Welcome to Happily Ever After is just the beginning. Keeping your relationship not just together, but happy, and we mean truly happy, is part art and part science. You've come to the right place. Here's your host, Leslie Dories.
How comfortable are you feeling emotions? How comfortable are you expressing them? Or maybe seeing other people express them? Are you a man or a woman? Do you think this makes a difference when answering these questions? The truth is that most of us have some experience with suppressing our own emotions. Now, some of this might actually be situationally appropriate, but often it is just harmful to us and to the people around us. And if you're going to have successful, intimate relationships, knowing what you're feeling and being able to accept and support your partner's feelings is critical. But how do you do that? Well, my guest, Dyanne Brown, author of Free Your Mind, Let Go of Everything That Holds You Back, shares some valuable ways to do this. So, Dyanne, thank you for being on the show and talking about what is a challenging subject for a lot of people.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. And yes, it is very challenging.
And by the way, I love the title of your book. I need to get it because there's a whole bunch of stuff that I need to let go of, but that's a subject for another day. But you wrote a piece for the Good Men Project titled Men, Women, and the Suppression of Emotions, which is a great title. You stated that as a society, we have made emotions a gender thing, with expression being sanctioned based on ideals. Now, that's a big sentence, so what do you mean by this?
I think that in our society, we have expectations of how emotions are going to be expressed based on your gender. So I think women are allowed a bit more leeway to express big emotions. If you're sad, you can cry. If you're angry, you can, emote. And if you're, if you have a more of a tribe around you that will support you if you're in some type of emotion. Whereas men, I think we socialize them from a young age to not emote, to maybe show anger is acceptable, but if they're sad, they're more likely to turn inward and hide that from people. And if they're feeling any other of the range of emotions, they either suppress them or they feel as though once they start to try to explain how they feel, that they get shut down because people are not prepared to handle their emotions. And it's not across the board, but I think by and large that these are kind of how we look at emotions and expect them to be expressed. And you can see it all over TV, movies. Generally, there's a male character that's flying off the handle and the woman's crying and, but. I mean, it's this stereotypical thing, and it's sort of like, women can cry, but not too much and not in certain situations, and men, if men cry, well, then that's not okay, except for what I've always said are a couple of allowed situations, like if you're on a sports team that's competing in a high-level event and you lose, then it's okay for the guys to cry. But anything short of that is like, no, just suck it up, buttercup, right? I actually think that sports is an outlet for male emotion. I think in sports you're allowed to be really excited. You're allowed to be, really angry. You're really allowed to let out all of that emotion, and it's okay because everyone else is expecting that. It's less of a pressure to be, restrained.
Right. And yes, as I was saying at the beginning, there are times when we need to be able to be more, to choose the right times to express certain emotions. But this idea that, I mean, and I actually refuse to talk about good and bad emotions, because there are no such thing as bad emotions. I talk about hard emotions, ones that we don't necessarily want to feel. But, and what people I think don't understand is that if you suppress some emotions, you suppress them all. You can't selectively suppress.
Exactly. If you can't feel sadness, you can't feel joy. So.
Right, which is really challenging. And and then the other thing I think you said, which really makes a lot of sense, and is being is knowing how to do this, is being given permission, and not just permission for you to feel them, but for the other people around you, because I think that's another thing that happens for men, that it can be very difficult for other people to see them maybe struggling with something, because that means, oh my gosh, if this big, strong guy is struggling with this, who can I depend on? Which, boy, that puts a lot of pressure on men.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, I feel like if you don't speak the emotion, it doesn't go away. It's still there. So the woman who's more sensitive is still picking up the emotion, but you're not talking about it. So it's this thing that's hanging between you that nobody's addressing. And then it's also a disassociation from the moment. So we're in this moment where something's happening for both of us, but neither one of us are talking about it. Yeah,
that's always fun.
Yeah, and then it comes out in some other way. So let's say your boss makes you mad. You drive home angrily in traffic. Then you walk through the door and your wife says something innocuous, and you go flying off the handle. You're angry about what she said, and you're taking it out on her. It's not her emotion. She didn't create that. It's the emotion from the beginning of the day, which you didn't speak, you suppressed, and now in this situation, because she's more sensitive and the stakes are lower, she's not going to fire you. So
actually, that's not true. She could.
True. But then that emotion comes out that way. Or, your kids do something and now you're yelling at them. And it might not even be that you're angry. It might be that you're sad. It might be that you were disappointed. It might be that they frustrated you because, you're having the same conversation over and over again and they're not hearing you. So there's some underlying emotion that's just going to come out in an angry way at the wrong person.
Well, so I love that description of you're not really angry. You could be sad, disappointed, frustrated, which is, being able to distinguish between the various emotions, which leads right into the next question that I wanted to ask, which is, how are men taught, or more to the point, not taught, to deal with their emotions, and what's the result of this training?
Yeah, I think they're not given language to understand or express their emotions. They're mainly given anger, which I think is a big emotion for them. And like you said, they can be sad at certain intervals in different events. A man can cry at his wedding, and everybody gets that.
Or at a funeral.
Or a funeral, yeah. But there's a whole range of emotions that they experience that they don't have words for. And so I think the challenge is women, we have a bit more. I don't think that women get the gamut of all the emotions either.
Correct.
But I think that we have more of a language to describe how we feel. And so if you're in a argument going back and forth and she's trying to explain her emotions, he doesn't even know how to express his emotions.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know the words. So when she's using words, she's like, I'm frustrated, and you're always doing this, and, and he's just like, I don't feel sad or angry right now. I don't know what to tell you how I feel.
Well, and I think that's an important thing because, I've had this conversation with a lot of men. My husband's a scientist. My son's an engineer. My father's an engineer. So I grew up with, yes. So, now,
a lot of logical thinkers.
Well, exactly. And, and many of my clients are, men with that tendency. And, they think that, emotions are useless, illogical, and, and going there is just a waste of time. And I think that that's really because, they don't, I think society as a whole, but especially men, they do not understand that emotions are our primary information source. Because when we're infants, that's all we got. I mean, there's no cognitive, logical stuff going on in baby brain.
Yeah.
And but men are taught from an early age, big boys don't cry, or you're not really hurt, and it's like, whoa,
yeah, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Meanwhile, they skin their knee and it's bleeding.
Right. Well, and it's and like you said, then they get shunted into these quote-unquote acceptable ways of expressing things, but then they get in trouble for being angry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, because we're going to stick you in a box and not let you out no matter what you do.
Yeah, because it's not effective for every situation. You can't respond that way to every situation, and especially in interpersonal relationships. Anger creates more problems than it solves in an interpersonal relationship.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, there's a gamut of emotions, and if you don't know what they are, then you can't identify them in yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know that you're disappointed, if that's not a word that means anything to you, then you can't communicate that to someone else. Mm-hmm. And they can't understand that you're disappointed. And they don't understand what that disappointment means to you. Because disappointment can be mild or it can be devastating. There's a range. And if you can't communicate that, then nobody knows how you're feeling. And you're walking around throughout your day feeling all of this emotion and not giving it any voice or letting it go. And I think for men, it's not solvable to them. They like to fix things. They like for things to be easily solvable. They want to give you a solution. And when their wife or their girlfriend is in an emotion, there's nothing they can do to fix it. Well, she just has to go through it.
Well, and it actually can be paralyzing for them because especially if it is, if the feeling is a result of an experience with them, please note that men didn't cause that feeling, but they participated in the experience that elicited that emotion. And, and usually it's a hard emotion. So, that makes it even more challenging because, my partner is hurt, my partner is upset with me in some way. I didn't mean for that to happen. I want that feeling to stop because I didn't intend for it, and then that just shuts everything down.
And in his mind, his action didn't create that emotion because it doesn't for him. Like, he doesn't think it does for him. So when she's like, I feel blah, 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 in his mind, logically, that doesn't make sense because that doesn't happen for me, but it might be suppressed. It might be the same thing that's happening for you, but you don't have an awareness of it.
Right. And again, I think that's very true for men that, wanting to solve things and of course the first thing, and emotions aren't something that actually need to be solved. They do need to be dealt with, but I don't think they need to be solved. I don't think there's a solution for them.
Yeah.
But that's part